Yo guys, it's Lord here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about 3 nice books which I've read, which have taught me something good and helpful for my life. Alright, the first book we are going to be starting with is The Millionaire Next Door. And this book is by Thomas J. Stanley, and the original way I found it was over here. This is going to sound really weird, but the original way I found this book was from a Pokemon card video. And it is pretty crazy. This book basically compares This book doesn't exactly compare who's a millionaire and who's not, but it compares who could be and should be a millionaire while who hasn't been able to, compared to the people who've made the wrong decisions and actually haven't been doing that well financially. This book's really good if you want to actually learn about wealth and saving money, because wealth isn't about being rich, but it's about being rich for the amount you earn. In this book, it talked about a person with a janitor business, and he was actually a janitor himself. Although he lived in a moderate neighborhood, that was actually a good thing. He was an extremely minimal person, and it showed how he invested and actually chose, instead of, spending money, to save it. And then he was compared to like a doctor who made 100k plus a year. And the funny thing is, the janitor was actually even more wealthy and rich, because the doctor, he was choosing to live with an extremely expensive lifestyle. I mean, every object you buy comes with extra objects. I mean, if you buy a Mercedes, for example, it doesn't suit if you're coming out of a Mercedes in a really $1, $2 outfit, okay? You need to also be wearing flashy clothes, and it all adds up, guys. I mean, if you're living in an expensive neighborhood with $1 million houses, if you have a Honda Civic, it doesn't make sense. So this book is really amazing. It teaches you how to be minimal and sort of how to actually this book's really good because it teaches you that sometimes being minimal really pays off. This book also has extreme facts, okay? These people, the person who wrote this book interviewed thousands and thousands of millionaires. And they found out a lot of pretty interesting things. If I read out some of the facts of the average millionaire, it might actually surprise you. An interesting fact that this book actually taught me was that people who are adults who receive money from their parents often are actually much more, 80% more unlikely to become millionaires. And that is because they start becoming dependent on their parents' money. And every time they actually receive money, they treat it as if it was gifted to them, and they don't actually understand the fact that they don't actually understand the value of money because they didn't actually work for it. And because those people don't understand how hard you have to work, they end up being completely reliant on other people's money, and they never bother working for themselves. So in the parents' mind, they think they're being extremely helpful, but really it goes backwards. And also another fact was around 80% of millionaires never received any inheritance. And that never stopped. The book literally states that it's easier to become a millionaire when you don't have any inheritance or money given to you, which is pretty interesting. Next book I'd recommend is Deep Work by Cal Newport. And this book I've been reading the audiobook of, and it basically talks about how important it is to be focused at one thing at one time. I mean, it shows that even by looking at your phone once, it shows that it talks about how it takes around 15 minutes to reach a flow state, and how you should be doing things for long periods of time. I mean, if you've been doing a task for 30 minutes and then you look at your phone once, it basically puts you back to stage 1, and it basically decreases your productivity by 30 minutes, okay? So guys, this book really outlines how you need to stay focused, and it talks about how you should schedule your day, and and sometimes, stop using social media at times. It's crazy, guys. The average person This is crazy, guys. The average person only does around 1 hour of deep work per day. And then all those other hours that they're checking their emails, doing other things, and you know, even if you check your email while doing a task, it still puts another part of your brain running, and it makes your brain sort of worried because it knows it has to do another task. So honestly, this book will definitely help you and make you more productive. Alright, the last book is The Subtle Art of Not by Mark Manson. And this book basically explains how you can choose what to give a damn about. And I think you should definitely read it because it'll make you care less. And it really talks about how what you value really changes the way of your life. I mean, if you look over here, it basically talks about just being comfortable. I mean, sometimes you gotta accept your problems, but you don't need to care about them, do you? This book really helps us understand that we don't have control over everything, and we're never going to. But the only thing that we do have control over is how we react and feel towards it. I really liked how this book outlined that problems are inevitable, and whatever you do, you'll always face some more problems. I mean, like for example, first I had the problem of starting a YouTube channel, but once I started it, it's not really problems, but more like tasks. But yeah, first I had the task of making the channel, and that gives me the task of making videos, and then that gives me the task of making the thumbnails and editing them, and then it gives me even more tasks of responding to the fans and, you know, interacting with them. So basically, it basically says you're never gonna have nothing to do, and so it basically says that you're always gonna have to face something, and that is okay. That's just part of it. It also is actually really motivating in starting new things because it talks about how you shouldn't actually just wait to be motivated and how motivation isn't important, and rather you should actually take action first, then get inspired, and then motivated. Because usually it's the other way around. You get motivated, you get inspired, and then you take action. But truth is, sometimes you're not motivated. But the thing is, doing the action will actually get your brain turned on and actually like properly focus and work on something. And a couple more things just to add on is it talks about how pain and everything, you know, it basically talks about problems equal power, man. I mean, the more you do, the more you go through. When you come out of it, I guess you come out stronger. And finally, obviously by the name you can tell it basically just says, do not give a damn. Look at this guy's face. He's looking hot. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you have an amazing rest of your day.